right. Well, we are going to go ahead and get started. Thankful again for those who have joined us today. What a great opportunity. I don't know what the weather's like where you're at. We've got a very much an overcast, rainy day here in Utah, but I know that the RXA OneMagnify team, they've got sunny days, at least the ones that we talked to earlier today. And so we're asking you all to bring the sunshine today to this one. Very excited for each of you that have taken the time to be with us. This is a great privilege for us at Domo to be able to introduce to our customers, to all of you who we are so grateful that you're trusting our platform and that you are teaming up with us to increase the value of your data and increase your access and applicability and usability within your organizations. And we feel it a great privilege to introduce to you one of our premier partners. I would say one of our longest standing and most proven partners that we work with with RXA OneMagnify. These folks have implemented over 400 of our customers. They work on a daily basis with many of our large, mid-size, and smaller accounts, helping customers achieve their goals, their strategies, and to get more value out of their data. We appreciate RXA taking the time to be with us, to be a partner, and their willingness to lean into this webinar with us today. Some of you are familiar with RXA OneMagnify. Some of you might not be. If you attended Domopalooza or watched any of those, you saw them on the big screen. You would have seen them in the breakout sessions. They've been with us for multiple years as sponsors of those events, and we're grateful for that. We appreciate that. And you might be even familiar with one of the big use case applications that's been kind of premiered with the Ford Direct program and the Copilot. They were part of that team and the masterminds behind that, giving more power and usability and knowledge and skill set to many of the Ford dealerships. And so we're excited about that use case, but we're excited about all of the many use cases that RXA has facilitated to bring to our customers here with Domo. So that was my introduction. My name's Todd Smith. I'm part of the success team here at Domo, and just appreciative for everybody that's here. We've got a great lineup today, some amazing speakers. I'm going to just go through real quickly. It's broken into 4 main topics. First one being Domo consulting and implementation. We get to hear from Dustin Bowden and Christine Plunkett. The second topic will be Domo plus CDWs, data strategy and governance by Wade McNeil. Part 3 is generative AI and predictive modeling with Jack Clarity and Jessica Parks. And then we'll wrap it up with our 4th one, which is Custom Apps and AI Agents by Jeff Doak. So we're excited for each of these. Appreciate you being here again. I've also heard that there's going to be some special deals and offerings as far as those who want to engage with a discovery call with RXA following this. So we invite you to do that. Take advantage of the special that will be introduced. And with that, I'm going to reach out. I know Anna's running the slides, but we're going to reach out to our first speaker, Dustin. Dustin, I'm going to go ahead and pass the reins over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Todd. I appreciate it. Hey, everybody. Thank you for being here. Like Todd said, it's really an honor for us to be able to host a webinar and see so many faces and get to know you. Why don't we go to the next slide and we'll just kind of introduce ourselves here. So Todd, kind of gave our names in our sections, but here's the team. The thing to highlight here is that, I don't know, I'm turning 45 this year. I've worked, 20 years in tech and analytics, and these are the smartest people that I've ever had the opportunity to work with. And so I'm super excited for you to get to hear from them today. So let's talk a little bit about just like who RXA is, and then I'll tell you a little bit about ourselves. So we are you can go to the next one. We're a premier partner of Domo's. We've been so for the last 7 years. We've done we're actually close to 1,000 projects now in Domo. Across 400 different clients, 250,000 hours of consulting. The thing that's really interesting about us is that we were actually born out of understanding that Domo is the richness of what Domo offers as a platform. So our founder, Jason Harper, stood up a multi-million-dollar BI solution with Hadoop, Alteryx, Tableau, and a couple of other things. And then shortly after he stood that up and it was his baby and he was really proud of it, he got introduced to Domo and he said, my God, I could do everything that I just stood up for a fraction of the price, and it runs better and faster. And so once he left that company, he immediately went and signed up to be a partner of Domo's. And so the rest has been a 7-year journey of being a partner and doing implementations and really discovering the power of Domo. I myself I'm pushing 9 years in the platform, which I've seen many iterations of the platform. I don't go back as far as some of the folks that we have, and many of the folks that we do have on the team are original. We call them OGs. Have been with us 6, 7 years, and have a multitude of experience in the platform. And so if we just go on to the next slide, we'll kind of talk a little bit about what we do offer as an implementation team. Some very standard things in terms of major Domo consulting. Pretty much anything that touches the platform, we have the ability to do across our team. So we develop apps, we do data engineering. All of our consultants are trained in Domo to be technical consultants. So they don't just do one part of the platform, they can do pretty much everything inside the platform. We can train, we can talk to you about governance, we can build you ETLs. We have entire data science teams, and there's a piece that's missing on here that we can talk about, that we're actually going to talk about in depth, is our entire AI practice. We have some of the most brilliant people, I would say, in the world, leveraging AI and building custom AI applications, agentic workflows, agents inside of Domo, outside of Domo, integrating them in. We're doing really cutting edge stuff that we're going to see here in a little bit. So, if you want to go to the next one, why RXA? I really think it comes down to these folks here that are on the slide. We have over 20 plus Domo consultants, many of which, like I said, have 6, 7, 8 years of experience inside of the platform. We've done over 1,000 projects. Here's some of the platforms that we have expertise in: Salesforce, AWS, SAP, HubSpot, NetSuite. These are folks that have actually come from other companies and aren't just Domo experts, but they have expertise in these platforms as well. We have a former Salesforce administrator, so whenever we get in there, she's able to actually talk to clients about their Salesforce implementation, look at the objects, look at everything that's inside of that. We have so much experience with NetSuite and are able to write queries inside of NetSuite for folks to be able to get that data out and into Domo. And then we have a huge breadth of industries that we've touched. So I jokingly say sometimes that I can be talking about cannabis one moment and then go to the next meeting and be talking about financials, go to the next one, be talking about retail, all on the same day. Our folks were marketing leaders. They were leaders in finance. They were leaders in education and telecommunications or logistics, who gained Domo experience, have come to us, and then they leverage that experience to make your implementation or make your project as efficient and good as it can be, leveraging all the skills and knowledge that we have. And so I could go on and kind of mention folks. I mean, we've got Chris, we've got Neil, but I'd love for you to hear from Christine. She's on our team. She's been with me for the last, gosh, Christine, 4 years or so. And she is one of the best and brightest that we have. And I'd love for her just to introduce herself and tell you a little bit about her experience so you can kind of see the breadth of who we are.
Hello, everybody. I'm Christine Plunkett. You can call me KP for short. I've been working in Domo about 6+ years. I've been on Dustin's team for 4 and some change at least, I think. Worked on 60+ Domo projects. I have a kind of wide breadth of a background with tech and data, finance, product development. I've worked with a little bit of healthcare, manufacturing. There's a long list there of just rich experience and background that I bring to the table. I absolutely love working in Domo. It's highly flexible, customizable, exceptionally feature rich. By far my favorite platform to play with on a day-to-day basis. Specific expertise that I bring to the table with Domo is definitely sandbox and Domo governance. So I love sandbox strategy and migrations and deployments. Heavily like to lean on Domo governance, building and developing custom solutions to tackle challenging problems within an instance or multi-instance environments. Pleasure of working with our instance health product suite as well, which leverages a ton of different Domo governance and Domo stats data sets and knowledge. So yeah, thanks for having me. Back over to you, Dustin.
Thanks, Christine.
Yeah.
So Christine's actually based in California. We have consultants spread out all over the country, all onshore. We can meet your needs from a time zone perspective, anything that you need, from there. So let's take a look at just some of our projects that we've talked about. Now, as you kind of peruse this slide, you're going to see some positive numbers and things that we've done where media optimization that yielded 21% increase in overall leads. Another media optimization project that was 90% increase. And so there's a couple of things to sort of talk about here on this is that there's a bunch of stuff in Domo that is sort of your bread and butter. You're going to connect the data, you're going to transform that data, and then you're going to do something with it, whether it's automate workflows or put into dashboards, build an app in App Studio, those types of things. We have, those aren't some of the more glamorous projects that we do, but that is our bread and butter when we start to talk about, we connect, we take a retail company that has multiple distribution outlets like Toast and delivery services like DoorDash. We bring those disparate sources together, and for the first time, they're able to see a 360-degree view of their customer. They're able to understand all of the channels that they interact with, project lifetime value, those types of things where prior to that, they had no visibility. Everything was done in Excel or Google Sheets or something like that. So, and then we have really exciting projects where we have like the voice of customer. We've been leveraging that with ESPN for a long time, and that continues to iterate as we scrape data and pull it together inside of Domo and then add layers of AI on top of that to bring sentiment analysis and deeper insights out of that. So these are just a sort of a swath of the projects that we have. We would love the opportunity to talk with you about what projects that you might have and try to understand where Domo fits and where we can integrate more inside the platform, bring you richer value, bring more life to your data as it goes. So that's going to be it for us in the Domo practice, and we're going to kick it over to Wade and to talk about governance and CDWs, which everybody loves.
Thank you, Dustin. My name's Wade McNeil. I'm a Senior Director of Data Strategy here at RXA OneMagnify. I am in my 26th year with this company in various iterations. Over 10 years in specifically cloud implementations, and my life is data. Typically large data warehousing deployments, anything data related. I'll be covering today really Domo and customer data warehouses, and with an emphasis on strategy and governance. So next slide, please. So really, what are we talking about here? In today's cloud era, we're looking at harnessing the power of cloud data. Many organizations are facing the challenge with the sheer volume of data and the sources. And Domo provides a solution to connect, integrate, and manage this vast cloud data from various sources, preventing it from becoming, kind of overwhelming and underutilized. We're aiming to ensure trust and control through governance. As KP basically touched on, Domo enables organizations to have established data governance frameworks. This builds trust in the data and allows users to confidently rely on the insights generated. Finally, we're always driving back to the business value. So we're driving business value with actionable insights. Domo helps transform raw governed data into meaningful visualizations, reports, and predictive analytics, driving towards the business needs. Next slide, please. There we go. So to that end, I'm going to touch quickly on 4 different areas. Data strategy with a specific emphasis on cloud, and then data governance with an emphasis on the cloud, and then cloud data warehousing and how do we enable governance within there. And then finally, what's Domo's role and our role at the same time in integrating these concepts. So we can go to the next slide, Anna. So when I look at data strategy, the core purpose, what are we trying to do? It's really, what is data strategy? And it defines how data is used to generate tangible business value and directly contribute to achieving, strategic business objectives. And that data strategy is a foundational blueprint for the data practice, and essentially a groundwork for all your data related activities within an org. A comprehensive blueprint, if you may, that provides direction and structure for the processes, policies, technologies involved in that. In the end, we're trying to ensure cohesion and efficiency across your organizations, promoting that consistency, preventing fragmented approaches, and ensuring data is managed and utilized in a coordinated manner, and maximizing its potential. Here we go. So if we focus on our experience at RXA at OneMagnify, we take a holistic approach to data success. So a robust data strategy encompasses various interconnected elements. It's not just technology or analysis, but really a comprehensive plan that integrates business goals, data quality, security, governance, as you can see on here. Ensuring alignment with business objectives. I keep coming back to that. We always come back to that. Our strategy has to align with our business strategy. Never developed in isolation, so it's directly tied to the organization's goals. And data initiatives are focused on delivering real business value and contributing to that overall success. When I look at this specific slide, I look at it and say, well, what are we actually doing? It's kind of going from a foundation to an area where you can have actionable insights. So the first part really is, the data quality, data management, architecture, and integration are kind of the foundational aspects that ensure reliable and accessible data. And then that in turn enables your data analytics and your accessible data. That is in turn guided by the data governance, data security, compliance, whatever those needs may be. And then culminating in the end, you're looking to have a practical roadmap and implementation, a blueprint of how you're going to get to the point where you feel very comfortable your everything in regards to your data. Next slide, please. So data governance, it is the foundation for trustworthy data. And, the framework involves policies, processes, roles, standards, ensuring that the data is accurate, secure, properly managed. Again, we're looking to build trust, ensuring reliability. So the holistic approach is not just one single activity. We look at this and we say, okay, what is this? Kind of like an umbrella term that looks at it and say, who owns this data? How can we access it? How's it protected? What's its level of quality? And how are we going to share that data? And pardon me, but I'm going to use the oldest cliche in the book and say that it's a combination of people, process, and technology. But really effective data governance demands that you have the right people with defined roles, you have well-defined processes for managing all your data, and then finally, the appropriate technology that allows you to do that. I'm going. So again, multifaceted framework, interconnected components, with policies, roles, standards, and processes. Our goal with all of this is to balance control with usability. We have to have control, but the oldest cliche in the book, besides the other one, I guess, my apologies, is that you're holding our data hostage. You hear that as a traditional IT person, you'd hear that in the past. We want to balance control with allowing our business to have usability and reliability on the data. So, and finally, again, balancing trust and accountability. That's where we're headed. So next slide. So how does this apply to Domo and in combination, in this case, with Databricks? Well, first of all, Databricks is a cloud data warehouse. So what does that mean to us? On the next slide, please. Cloud data warehouse, they're designed for agility and growth, the scalability and performance. They're built to adapt to changing business needs. They allow organizations to scale data storage and processing up or down as required. You combine that with the cost effectiveness, which is a pay-as-you-go model, optimizing costs because typically you don't have large upfront investments. And secondly, you're ensuring resources are used efficiently. You can turn them on and off as needed. In turn, there's enhanced data processing in a cloud data warehouse. You got quicker insights, faster processing speeds, lower latency, and there's a reduced IT burden. So you can offload a lot of the IT infrastructure work. There's some IT burden left, but vastly minimized. Finally, you're looking for something that's secure and versatile for modern data needs. So cloud data warehouse and Databricks in particular has data protection, adherence to regulations, robust security features, compliance certifications. And then from a modern data standpoint, coming from my background, looking at Oracle, SQL Server, you couldn't always use all the different formats in the past. So we can handle various data formats, everything from structured to unstructured, to semi-structured data, video, et cetera. And finally, it integrates with a wide range of BI, specifically Domo. And so we'll move to the next slide, if you will. So why Domo and Databricks? Well, first of all, it's the power. Databricks gives you that power that allows you to do the transformation, the processing, the modeling of your data at a high scale and very efficiently. And then the simplicity of Domo, which allows you to do a sleek, low-code interface that allows you to do a lot of things. Specifically, Domo is using like a cloud amplifier that allows us a direct connection to Databricks, which allows real-time data if we like. It really closes the gap between data engineering and business execution. So I look at it like Databricks for your data team, and then Domo's for the whole company. So I have a team of people who do nothing but data all day, but we have people in the company who want to see all the information. So we'll keep going there, Anna. From a governance perspective, they're very complementary in nature. Databricks has robust data cataloging, lineage tracking. You can see how a record moved from its raw form to its final form as you walk across a medallion architecture of bronze, silver, gold. Domo then extends that governance by connecting to the secure data warehouse and in turn providing data lineage visibility. You can actually see what's being tracked. Excuse me. Again, what we're looking to do is establish trust and transparency so the business users are using this. So again, Databricks allows you to see where it happened, and Domo allows you to see that from a visual perspective. We finally go back and we say we're empowering business users with governed and understandable data. So we leverage Databricks underlying governance to empower our business users. Domo connects to the data in Databricks and presents it in a curated and visually accessible manner. So if we'll move to the next slide, please. I'm going fast here, but I'm going to keep going. Traditional use cases. So here at RXA OneMagnify through the years, started out really a lot of these were comprehensive business performance metrics, looking at everything from tracking and analyzing at a region level, a channel level, a product level over time, and identifying key trends, and then understanding the impacts of initiatives like marketing campaigns and generating crucial performance metrics. On top of that, we step one step further, which is predictive modeling. And we say, okay, so what's going to happen in the future? Predicting customer churn, identifying potential fraud. And then finally, we're empowering the data-driven decisions with both of these combined. So if you can go to the next slide, please. So building a solid foundation is what we're looking to do. And this is, as we move into the future, big word out there is AI, and our company here at RXA OneMagnify is heavily involved. So Databricks gives us that scalability, an AI-ready environment with master data management, things, data preparation, establishing clean, consistent, scalable data, and then in combination with with the traditional analytics. I'm sorry. Can we move to the next slide? Yeah. So Domo and Databricks together, we look at this and we say, okay, how is it done? I'm going to move past this and with the basis of time, but you can come back and look at this because we'll be distributing the slides. So finally, we're going to talk about the Ford Direct Dealer Copilot. And this is a great example of Domo and Databricks, and it's developed by RXA OneMagnify in collaboration with Ford Direct. It's an AI agent with a Domo front end application with a Databricks backend. And Ford and Lincoln dealers, you have streamlined access and ability to leverage data. It simplifies the process of answering sales questions, consolidating complex data from multiple systems. So that's what we're looking for here. If we go to the next slide, you can show how we actually do this. So really, it's data integration and consolidation. So the solution consolidates data from the various sources, sales systems, vendor systems, internal databases into a single environment, which eliminates data silos and ensures data consistency. And then analytic and reporting capabilities with the Domo front end, which has standard reports and then custom analytics. The architecture is built with the intent of being able to reuse and integrate across various areas. And if we have questions later, some of our team could respond to those. So at that point, I'm going to pass it along to our next presenter. Thank you.
Thanks, Wade. My name's Jeff Doak. I am one of the OGs at RXA. I've been there pretty much as long as it's existed. I too have worked on hundreds of Domo clients, and like others have said, Domo is really my favorite platform. We're agnostic here for the most part at RXA, but really Domo, its capabilities, everything you can do within it, it's so fun to work in. And custom apps is one of the reasons I enjoy Domo as a platform. You go to the next slide. So custom apps originally, I believe, started as a way to just create custom visualizations. So if you wanted a specific gauge chart, or you wanted a bar chart that looked a certain way that had certain text on it, something that Domo didn't have out of the box, you could sort of build your own. But over time, they've added more and more functionality to it, and also made sure that apps could always connect to other pieces of Domo. And the things that I'm building now for clients are all over the map. So you can do things like user management, managing your data, coordinating different platforms. So if you've got Salesforce and other things out there that you are moving data back and forth to, and you want to interact with them or make sure things are running smoothly, you can do that in a custom app. And then even user interaction and workflows, if you need processes put in place, that apps can help with that as well. Really, the only thing you need to know is JavaScript. So if you've got anyone on your team who knows JavaScript, custom apps are really easy to build. If you don't have anyone who does JavaScript, obviously we can help. Just reach out and let us know. You can go to the next slide. So custom apps, how do they interact with Domo? How are they placed in Domo? Basically, the thing to think about is they act just like a card. Any other card you would create that you'd put on a dashboard or an app studio. They pull from any data set. Unlike regular cards, they could pull from multiple data sets. So if you need to join data sets within a card and don't want to do it with a flow, you can pull more than one data set into a card and into a custom app. You can easily reuse these apps across different dashboards. So if you build something that's fairly complicated, but you want to make sure that it can use, it can sit in different dashboards for different users, but do the same thing, you just attach a different data set to it, so you don't have to rebuild over and over and over. PDP and page filters, anything having to do with the Domo, with the data management, is built in to the app, so you don't have to worry about adding that or worrying that people who are using apps are going to see data they're not supposed to. Right now, one of the newer features is apps can interact with Domo workflows and Code Engine. Code Engine is extremely powerful, as it really allows you to build any kind of script you need that can pull data from third parties or interact with other APIs. And so you can just sort of tie all of that stuff together. And as I mentioned, They act just like a card, so you can sort of select them from your set of apps, put them in a dashboard, size them the way you want, and then move them around and copy them to other places. So once you use them, they're really easy to sort of reuse and place in spots. You can go to the next slide. So what can you create? What have I created? As I mentioned, originally custom charts that aren't available in the default Domo chart library. One type of that, by the way, are Phoenix charts, which are basically out-of-the-box Domo charts, but that you have complete control over. So they will look and feel just like a normal Domo bar chart or line chart or pie chart, but you have complete control over the colors you use and how things are sized and what the fonts might look like. Everything else you can handle yourself. That's one version. One thing you can do with apps is put multiple charts or visualizations in one card. So we get a lot of requests where someone may want to have a line chart with a bar chart and then some sort of table that sort of hovers above the top. So as you're clicking on different elements, all of those things are changing within one card. I've built a few things like that. Workflow tools to interact with Domo workflows. So if you're using workflows in Domo, apps become really crucial to me to make sure that all of those things work together well, and you can sort of check very easily to see if workflows are functioning or if something's going wrong or if you need to add new things to it. Custom filtering for dashboards. So a lot of the apps I've built have really been because people wanted to simplify the filtering system and make sure that it could apply to every card on the page, or they had complicated suggestions like being able to use or for your filters. Right now, if you have filters at the top of your dashboard, anything you select basically becomes an and, meaning all of those filters are going to be applied in the same way. You can build a custom app that instead can say, well, I want to see data if it matches this criteria or a combination of things. And I've had other clients that had data that was like SKUs that are several digits long, and they have thousands of them that don't really make sense to put into a normal filtering system, because if you try to expand and see them, it's crazy. So, and again, we've had a number of apps like that. Any card that needs to reference multiple data sets, as I said, that comes in handy much more than you would think, especially if you have some data sets that you're using as configuration or governance, so that when an app loads, it can look at another data set to see what sort of data should this person be seeing, or how do they interact with this app. You can be really flexible that way. Really, almost anything you can build with code, really, you can build in Domo. Just today, before I started, for instance, this morning, I was working on an app that basically took a custom bar chart and then makes a call to an AI agent to look at the bar chart and give a summary of what the data is in that bar chart and suggestions for what else the user could be looking at. And that's just, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about AI agents here in a second, but all of that stuff is possible. If you go to the next slide. And so when I say you can really create anything, what I mean is, to me now, Domo as a platform becomes a way where you can almost treat it as middleware for the rest of your systems. So again, if you're using Salesforce and HubSpot and things like that, because Domo already has user management built in, data management built in, and then allows you to visualize and interact with data, all of the pieces you need for sort of a web platform are there. You can then build a custom app that can, for instance, if you had a need for a user to enter some data, hit a button, and then something happens in Salesforce, or it makes a call to Salesforce, pulls something back, makes a modification, and then updates Salesforce. Same with HubSpot, same with any system that has an API. If you want something that sort of works in the middle there, not that hard to build. Really, what I usually ask clients is if there's anything you're doing manually right now, or anything that's sort of frustrating, they're having to log into different systems to do it, an app can probably fix that for you. You can go to the next slide. So how do you create a custom app? There's actually about 3 different ways now. Originally, the sort of old school way, you log into developer.domo.com, navigate to the screen, and basically install a local development environment that uses a command line tool. That command line tool will allow you to create new apps, publish apps to Domo, and also develop locally rather than having to develop in the browser in Domo. So if you've got a traditional dev team, this is probably the way they're going to want to do it. And also allows you to manage version control a lot easier. You go to the next slide. One of the newer functions in Domo is the Pro Code Editor. So you can navigate to that by going to the More box, Asset Library, and then you will see the Pro Code Editor. If you go to the next slide. Pro Code Editor basically is a way for you to grab a template for an app or just create a blank app and then actually edit it right in your browser in Domo without needing a separate dev environment or needing anything outside of Domo itself. They have a bunch of starter templates, basic hello world that just gives you the outline of everything so you can build whatever you want. As I mentioned before, Phoenix charts. So if you want to just do a bar chart, but you want to modify it a certain way, that's really ready to go. And again, as long as you've got a developer in place, they'll know once they see the code, it's really, really easy to manage. You go to the next screen. So this is sort of a screenshot of what you would see if you're doing this within your browser. Left side, you'll have all of the files that are part of the app. Middle screen is where you're doing your editing, so you can actually edit the application right there. And then on the right side, it'll actually show your app as you're editing and saving. And so when it's ready to go, you can publish it and then put it anywhere you want. Next slide. So finally, you can use pre-made apps and do some modifications to them. These are called bricks. So you basically navigate to the App Store in Domo, search box, enter brick. And right now, I think there's about 90 different apps that are just sitting there that you can grab. Just say, I want to put it on this page. It goes to that page and then instantly opens up an edit screen where you can edit, add your own code, choose your own data sets, all of that, and again, ready to go. So it's similar to the Pro Code Editor, but makes it a little bit clearer of what the variety are, and you can sort of very quickly see what these apps are going to look like. And so even if you don't have a developer right now, I would definitely recommend going to the App Store, searching for Brick, and just seeing what's available. Next slide. So real quickly, I'm going to go over AI agents. The next section of this talk, we're going to go a little bit more into AI. But first, I wanted to make sure everyone understood that Domo already has this going on. So there's a ChatGPT function already in Domo. You just, again, go to the More icon, click on Domo AI, and then when that screen opens, go to Playground. Next screen. And if you've ever used ChatGPT, it's very similar. And again, all in Domo. You enter instructions for the agent in the system message field, and then type in your prompt and give it a few seconds, and your answer will appear below, just like it would in ChatGPT. What's great about this, though, is it makes it very easy. They actually have the code ready to go. If you say, I want to put this in an app, or I want to store this, I want to put this code someplace else and make this call separately, you can literally copy and paste the code you would need to generate that same system message, that same prompt, and get a result out, which makes it very easy to then attach an AI agent to anything else you've got going on in a card. And again, I've done this a few times. Very easy to do, very flexible. Next screen. So we're going to do a quick video of one of the things we built as an app using an AI agent. This was presented at Domopalooza.
Welcome to PulsePoint, our agentic AI application embedded within Domo that can act as an economist in a box. To use PulsePoint, choose a dataset, and then click the Ready button. Watch as PulsePoint prepares the data to run and identifies the correct AI model based on the dataset. Click Yes to move forward, identify the model, and then run it. PulsePoint acts as an economist, making decisions behind the scenes to enable an accurate forecast. The application is determining the best variables to use, undertaking feature engineering, and so much more with an intelligent AI agent, all using tools inside of Domo. Once PulsePoint has fit a model, it self-evaluates and makes recommendations on how to improve your forecast. You can explore and view performance to help make decisions, or let your agentic economist do the work for you. Click Yes and watch PulsePoint review additional datasets to improve forecast accuracy. PulsePoint also provides supplemental information to help you make decisions. You can understand consumer confidence, labor market trends, and inflation expectations while PulsePoint does the heavy lifting. You can also view a live newsfeed in each section to add context to recommendations. In the background, the application is taking the new data source, determining which features to use, and performing feature engineering, all without human intervention. Once PulsePoint fits the model, it returns a chart to show accuracy against historic trends and the predicted sales. PulsePoint saves time and improves forecast accuracy, all inside of Domo. Let PulsePoint handle the heavy lifting while your team focuses on business growth.
Next screen. So
Well,
this app, the goal here was really to build something that could show all the different pieces of Domo, tie them together, and have something we could show at Domopalooza to show the capabilities. And so really, this uses custom apps, obviously, all within App Studio, uses workflow/code engine and third-party APIs to retrieve data and pull it in from outside of Domo, Jupyter Notebooks, Domo workflows, Domo AI, all of this in one. And this took us about a week to build, just 2 or 3 people. So what I want to make clear is that apps don't take months and months to develop. Most apps that I build are done within the week of them being requested once they're scoped out. So not a lot of investment. And if you don't have the resources to do it, again, we definitely do. Just reach out and let us know. And I'm going to pass this on to Jack and Jessica now. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. So we are going to move into the last section where we're going to just go over generative AI and predictive modeling. I'm Jessica Parks. I have worked on marketing analytics projects in Domo, where I've been using Jupyter workspaces and building out dashboards, to working on Copilot, our big AI project. So I've been able to work with Domo in many different areas, but today I'm just going to focus on generative AI. Going to talk about what models are available and how you can use those models too. So next slide, please. Thank you. So generative AI is obviously a buzzword. We've all heard it plenty of times. And when you're using these models, what you really have to think about is what is the input and what do you want your output to be. And Domo offers multiple ways to access the various models you would need depending on what your data looks like. So, for example, they have their own Domo Jupyter AI package. You can see that the names of the models are very clearly identified, so you can clearly identify your input and your output. I specifically want to highlight, though, too, the text-to-beast mode in this package is pretty awesome. I've certainly worked with beast modes when I've been putting together cards for a lot of marketing analytics projects, actually. And so having this as a model to use is awesome, because if you've worked with beast modes before, you know that the syntax for that is a little bit different than some of the other areas of Domo that you work in. And this obviously also allows the use for other models too, and I'll get to that in a second. Domo also has an image to text model in workflow. And so if you've been able to mess around in that area a little bit, that is also going to be a model available to you. And it's nice that they have these out of the box models so you can easily identify which one you need and start plugging and playing with it. Additionally, they have Domo GPT, which is a great generative model, especially if you have concerns around your data security. This is actually going to be the AI model that we use in PulsePoint, and I'll highlight later on the different places that we use AI in PulsePoint, but this is the model that we use. And then moving into some of the more technical models or spaces or tools that you can use is first off API calls. I'm going to talk about all the different places in Domo that you can use API calls, but that is something that can allow you to easily access different models outside of Domo. Additionally, in the screenshot that I have on the screen is going to be the AI models from adapters user interface. So you can see that if you have models like tied to an account that you want to access, Domo does have this UI to allow you to easily connect to those models and start using them actually within the Domo sphere. And so probably in a Jupyter workspace or something like that, you'd probably be using these models. And then lastly, if you have more concerns around the security of your data, you can also use models that are hosted in Databricks. And so this is actually what we do for Copilot is the AI models from adapters is not quite secure enough for our data. And so this is actually a great example of Domo and Databricks and the power of them being used together is we have our models that are hosted in Databricks. We run our code in there, but then our Copilot user interface is actually a custom app. And so we are able to utilize the models from Databricks, but also the amazing custom apps and the features with them that Jeff just talked about, and be able to really provide this great product for direct so that they're able to interact with their data through the Domo user interface. Next slide, thank you. So we have all these models. Where can we actually use them? What is the coding experience required? So first off, for people who don't have as much experience with coding, workflows is a great place to start. So workflow shapes allows you to use those Domo out of the box models. You can also have API calls for some of the models outside of Domo. Next, if you do have more coding experience, though, there's certainly other places that you can start using the models, have more diverse selection of models too. First off is going to be in that Jupyter workspace. I have used this for predictive modeling. There's multiple Domo packages available to use in Jupyter workspace, including their AI package, which is going to include those out-of-the-box models. And obviously, you can also use the API calls in that space too. Another place is with the custom apps. Jeff already talked about that and what that would look like in the dev space, but that is another area that you can use API calls. And then the next one is Code Engine. And so Jeff also touched on how Code Engine is actually a really great tool. And so obviously, first off, you can use API calls here. You can also use this code. And again, if you have an API call, or regardless of if that's in the code or not, you can actually use Code Engine in different spaces. So for example, Jeff had developed some code or some functions that he was using with the custom app for PulsePoint. When I was working in the Domo workflow environment and testing it out, I was actually able to pull some of his code from Code Engine. I did not have to write it myself, and I could utilize it in that workspace too. So again, these pieces, Domo offers a lot of flexibility, but it's also nice that you're not having to reinvent the wheel. And that's one of the powerful pieces of Code Engine. And so just bringing it all back to PulsePoint, I just wanted to touch on the 3 different places that we did use AI in our app. And if you recall in the video, there was like a 1, 2, 3, 4 that showed the different steps that PulsePoint was going through. And so those are kind of touching on those 4 important steps. 3 of them are actually going to be where we're looking at using AI. So first is when we run the original forecast model. We have the output, we have some metrics with it, and we have AI evaluate based on the metrics and just the prediction too, if it is an accurate prediction. The next piece is if it's not an accurate prediction, then we have AI evaluate the additional data available, check which data pieces, which features would be most valuable for the model, select those, and then we have the model rerun with those additional features. The third piece then is after we ran our updated model, we have AI summarize the findings and talk about how those features that we added help supplement the model and see if it can also help explain the output too, and if it can add a little bit more to the big picture of that prediction. So those are the three places that we used AI and PulsePoint. And as you know, we also used all these other different features too that Jeff had touched on earlier. And as I said, AI models aren't the only models that we use. It's not the only models that I use. And so I'm actually going to pass it to Jack now to go ahead and wrap up with predictive modeling.
Yeah, thanks, Jessica. I'm Jack. I'm a solutions engineer here at RXA OneMagnify, and been with RXA for a long time, doing a lot of Domo stuff and putting a lot of solutions in place in Domo, particularly around predictive modeling. So when we talk predictive modeling, we want to start with just a definition, because this gets defined differently at different companies across different industries. So at the broadest level of definition, really, we're talking about using historical data to make informed predictions about the future in some structured way. So thinking examples, predicting a customer's likelihood to buy, forecasting the next, quarter of sales, or, predicting the number of leads you'll generate based on media spend. And when we think through the solutions, you go next slide. Really putting a predictive modeling solution in place, no two solutions are exactly the same, right? It might vary across the data that you have, across the industry, or just the individual use case that you're working on. But generally, we kind of see them fall into kind of these three main categories. And when we think about these categories, we like to think about this matrix here of like complexity, and then the direct analyst control that they have. So at the top left, we have these like rules-based approaches. So that's using predefined standard static rules to generate future predictions. Think, let's use last week's sales to predict this week's sales. Then moving on, you go into machine learning. So now you're talking about building, a statistical model to not have your, consultant or your analyst define those rules, but instead you're going to let the computer say, hey, I have this data. This is what I'm trying to predict. Tell me what is the most important, and come back with the prediction. Now, even inside of machine learning, there's a gambit across this control and complexity. On the top left, you'd have more of the linear regression, and then maybe you get into like neural nets down and you lose some control but gain some complexity. And then finally, you have in the bottom right this predictive AI agent. So now we're talking about this autonomous system, autonomous agent that's going to go learn, adapt, and kind of change your prediction strategy dynamically just to forecast the future. And really, when we think about implementing a solution for any use case or across a industry or company, we may have multiple of these things across one use case, right? You might use some rules-based, some machine learning, and then even AI agent as well. And that's why Domo is so essential, because it allows you to kind of implement any of these that make sense for your solution. So going on to the next slide, if we think rules-based, right, we can think of ETL and beast mode inside of Domo, where we can set up these rules in a standard way, have them run and kind of seen across the organization. As well as kind of having the analyzer to actually look at your data and decide what these rules should be. So this is kind of a good foundation, good starting point. And then moving on to ML, we're going to go to the next slide. Yeah. So now we're talking machine learning in Domo. Again, there's multiple ways that you can do this inside of Domo. All just depends on what fits your business use case. So inside of Analyzer, there's like a forecast, or even an ETL. There's forecast tile. We can just quickly drop in forecasts or other data science tiles into your ETL and get these models very quick. As well as AutoML, which is now we're talking about training hundreds of models, trying different model types, trying different feature sets, all to get the best performing model. And then finally the Jupyter Notebook, which is fully bespoke. Okay, let's build a custom machine learning model solution with integration of Jupyter Notebooks inside of Domo. But the important thing is that however we want to build these solutions, whatever makes the most sense for our business use case, what makes the most sense for your company, Domo allows you to do it. And then kind of wrapping it up, we talked quickly about AI agents. This is kind of under the hood of what's at PulsePoint. You see all of these different steps all inside of Domo. So we've got the custom apps that Jeff talked about, the code engine and generative AI workflows that Jessica talked about, and then there's also Jupyter notebooks to do the forecasting scripts as well. So all of this comes together to build those AI agents. So won't take too much time on this slide because it's pretty in depth, but this will be a leave behind so you can take a look and see all that we did there. So I know we're almost at time, but we'll kind of open it up for questions. We talked Domo consulting, data governance and strategy, predictive AI modeling, and generative AI, as well as custom apps inside of Domo. So I believe the chat is open, but any questions, we're happy to help answer. And I believe we have a leave behind slide as well.
Well, fantastic. I really, really appreciate everything that's been shared. This has been some powerful information. And if I were to kind of sum it up for folks as we approach the top of the hour, is that definitely RXA at OneMagnify knows Domo. And as I think was mentioned, can build virtually anything inside and with Domo. And we very much appreciate that. I would speak quickly to all of our customers that are on this webinar and say, look, if you are in a need to scale, if you're in need to expand, if you're saying we're already paying for the platform, how can we use it in another way, in another department, maybe another use case? This is the team that can help you do that. And so the invitation I would extend to everyone is, grab that QR code, schedule your 30-minute discovery session with the team here, and see what the art of the possible can bring to you, right? See what other applications you can have. And so that's our invitation. We endorse, we definitely recommend, and feel that we're grateful they are a premier partner of ours. And so I know some people are going to drop at the top of the hour. We've got a couple of minutes. Those who want to stay after, we'll go ahead and answer any questions. Use the chat with any questions you have, and we'll let the team here answer any of those. And again, thank you for all that are here, and thank you to RXA OneMagnify for presenting today. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions coming. Here we go. Oh, we've got some contact details. That's fantastic, because when the time runs out and people have an appointment at the top of the hour. We will be sending out a copy of the deck, as well as these same contact details, so that if you don't catch it now, you'll be able to see that in your email. But we're going to send out a recording as well as a copy of the deck that was shared.